everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Now, I've got a lot of celebrations coming up over the next couple of months. I've got lots of birthdays, I've got Mother's Day coming up, I've got anniversaries, and I would like to share with you my go-to celebration cake. Now, it's a chocolate cake that I tend to use if I need to do something really, really quick and look really, really special. Now, this is something that the children can do quite easily. There's only one part that I would get the grown-ups to do, and that's because we're using boiling water. But when it comes to the decorating of it, you will see that the youngest child in the family can have a go at decorating this, and by putting a few things on like strawberries, it turns it into a lovely looking special birthday cake, Mother's Day cake, anniversary cake, whatever you are celebrating. It is a fantastic recipe. Now, I'm saying it's my recipe, it's actually Paul Hollywood's recipe, but it's a recipe I found in one of his cookbooks years and years and years ago, and it's one that I do use a lot. So here it is. You've got the ingredients, you've got the recipe list. Go and wash your hands. I'll see you in a minute. Now, the first thing that we've got to do is make our chocolate paste. So in here, I've got my boiling water. Now, this is the bit I said grown-ups would be better off doing. So in there, I'm going to add my cocoa powder. Give that a little tap. I'm going to add my brown sugar, and you'll notice that we're using two different sugars here, a brown sugar and a caster sugar. And then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons, and I'm using this vanilla paste, but if you want to, you can use vanilla extract. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to have 2 teaspoons. Now, Mrs. Davies has been doing this for quite a few years, so I can measure out pretty roughly 2 teaspoons. And all we're going to do with this is just give it a stir. Going to mix all that up. Oh my goodness, I can smell the chocolate already. Now, this is going to dissolve all that sugar, and yeah, it is a lot of water, but it's what makes the cake lovely and moist. Now, I've just splashed this everywhere, and I've just felt some go on my cheek. So if you do it slowly, you won't get splashed. There we go. Now we're going to put that to one side. We're going to let that cool while we carry on with the rest of our cake. Now, in my bowl here, I'm going to put my butter. There we go. And I'm going to put my caster sugar. Now, in the past, I've used my whisk and my electric whisk, and I know some of you have said that you don't actually have an electric whisk. So I'm actually going to do this by hand to show you that it can be done by hand as well. Okay, so I'm just going to squish this down, and we're going to get all that sugar incorporated into the butter. And then we're just going to whip it and whip it, or stir it and stir it with my spatula to make it all lovely, light and fluffy. And you actually want it to turn a bit paler in colour. So here goes. I'm going to go quite fast now. So there we go. After about 2 to 3 minutes, it's lovely, lovely and soft. Now we're going to be putting in 3 eggs altogether, but we're going to put them in an egg at a time. So let's just plop 1 egg in, and we're going to gently stir that in. And we want to incorporate that, and then we'll add the next one. Now that is lovely and mixed, I'm going to pop my bicarbonate of soda and my baking powder into my flour. Okay, and just give that a little mix with my fingers. Now I'm going to put about 1/3 of it into the bowl. We're going to whisk that up together. There we go. Make sure it's all incorporated, and then we're going to add about half of our chocolate mixture. Now this is going to be quite a runny batter, don't worry about that, it's going to bake up lovely. Give it and mix. Now this is you've got to be careful not to splash it here. I'm going to mix it all in. And always remember to keep scraping down the sides and all underneath as well. So we're going to add another third of our flour. Stir that in. Oh, this smells so delicious. There we are. As I said, it is so simple, isn't it? And so easy for the children to just help stir in. And then we're going to pop in the rest of our lovely chocolatey paste. Okay. And let's give this a slow stir now, because otherwise we're going to get it everywhere. Okay, and we're just going to try and incorporate it, mix it all up. There we go. Scrape down the sides again and add the rest of the flour. Gently mix that in. There we go. Again, scraping down the sides and underneath until there are no white speckles of flour left. And look, can you smell this? It's delicious. Now let me just pop that bowl out of the way, because I've now got my 3 baking tins. I'm going to pop it over there, because my baking tins, I've got 3 of these. Now usually I would put baking parchment in the bottom, butter around the outside and sprinkle white flour on it, tip it all out. But because we don't want any speckles of white on this cake when it comes out the oven, I've actually put some cocoa around the sides, so it will come out with brown sides. Now we've got to separate this between the 3 tins. If you want to be exact, you can weigh out every tin and every measurement you put in, but I think we can just eyeball it, can't we? We can work that out. So let's put a little dollop in there. Oh, that just, oh, the smell is heavenly. Pop that in there, and let's pop some in here, and don't forget to scrape down the bowl. Now I've still got some mixture left in there, which is fine, but we're just going to spread these out, and then we can work out which one needs more. Now they're actually all looking pretty even to me. Can you see all those 3? So let's just put a little bit in each one, make it fair so they all get the same. There we go. And we're just going to flatten them out. Just flatten them out on the top, and then one of the things we're going to do, give them a little tap, and that just gets rid of any air bubbles. Now these are going to pop into the oven roughly about 20 minutes. Hopefully they should be done then. Check after 15 minutes, because it does depend on some ovens, because some ovens the temperature is slightly different to what it says on the gauge. So after about 15 minutes, just have a check. But round about 15 to 20 minutes they should be done. So let's go and pop these in the oven, and I'll see you in a bit. So while the cakes are in the oven, let's get on to our frosting. Now this is a chocolate fudge frosting. Now in this bowl here, we need 450 grams of dark chocolate. Now don't worry about it being dark, because we're putting cream and butter into it, so it will actually get rid of some of that bitterness. Now I'm just using Tesco's or Aldi cheap 30 pence dark chocolate, and we want 4.5 packets all together. Now we want them broken up into little bits, so make sure you just break them into the squares. Again, something that the children can do, but maybe add a few more pieces, because I'm sure some will go into their mouths. If they're anything like me, I like to nick a little bit now and then. And one of the easy ways to do it as well is just break it up in the packet before you open the packet up, and then you don't get melted chocolate all over your hands, but you might like melted chocolate on your hands. so you can give it a lick, but make sure you wash those hands afterwards. There you go. Put all that in there. So that's my 450 grams. Now, if there are any big bits in there that haven't broken up, just break them up into little bits. Now, I've had on the stove, melting away, my double cream and my butter. Now, that is all melted and it is still really hot. And that is what we need to pour on our chocolate to actually melt it. Now, we're going to leave this to sit just for a few seconds so that it can start melting all of that butter. And then we're just going to whisk it every now and then. We don't want to whisk it too much because we'll get some cold air going in there and it will cool down that butter and the cream before it melts the chocolate. So just give it a gentle stir. I don't know, can you see? Let me bring it up to you here. Can you see? We're just going to give it a gentle stir and you can see some of the bits melting already. So let that sit again, and then every few seconds give it another stir until it is all melted in and it's lovely and glossy. Now, it might be that the cream and the butter starts cooling before all of that chocolate has melted, so we'll just pop it in the microwave for a few seconds if that's the case. Give it another stir. And you'll feel the chocolate actually sticking to the sides of your bowl, so scrape it down and get that chocolate into the middle. Now, I can feel that my bowl is actually just lukewarm. So you have a little, yeah, so already this is cooling down. So I might just have to go and pop it into the microwave for a little bit just to get that chocolate melted. Right, so I'm going to go and pop this in the microwave for about 20 seconds on high. I'm going to give it another stir. If it is still sort of lumpy and the chocolate's not melting, I'll do that again until it is all lovely and melted in, and I'll be back once So here I am. Now, this actually took 1 more minute, so 5 bursts of 20 to actually get it all melted and not lumpy. And look how lovely and glossy that is. Now, that is what we're going to use to fill our cakes and what we're going to use to cover it as well. So this needs to be cool at room temperature before we put it on the cake. So the cakes are still cooking, and the cakes have got to cool down as well before we can start decorating them. So pop this to one side, and hopefully by the time we are ready to decorate our cakes, this will be set up and all delicious. Every now and then though, just pop along to it, don't dip that finger in it, and just give it a little whisk. All right, and then we will be ready to go. Okay, so again, I will see you in a few minutes. Go and get yourself a cup of tea. See you soon. So these have just come out of the oven, and I just wanted to show you how deep and dark and rich they are. Okay, and I just want to, if I can show you, just pressing my finger, and they're lovely, they're firm, but you can almost feel all the lovely moistness in there as well. So look at that. Give it a good smell. All right, and we're going to let that cool now, and we'll be back to decorate soon. So now we're ready to build this delicious cake up. I've got the cakes all cooled there, and look at this lovely fudgy frosting. That has set, it's come to room temperature, and it is lovely and thick and ready to swirl onto our cakes. So you might not be able to see my face, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing here. We're going to build up our cakes. So we're going to get one of our cooled slices onto a plate. To that, we're just going to put a dollop of this lovely fudgy mixture on there. We're just going to spread it out. Now, again, as I said, this is something the children can do because there is no right or wrong way how we actually pop this on. Just spread it all over. Then we're going to add the next layer. I'm going to pop that on top. And we're going to put another dollop on there. It hasn't got to be too thick because we've got the rest of that lovely fudge that is actually going to go all around, all down the sides and all on the top. So let's pop that on there. And then let me get rid of this one. We've got our last one. And the last one, I'm going to flop up that way. So give it a little push down. Get rid of that one as well. Let's come here so you can see me. All we are going to do now is, let me give that a tap, get that off, is spoon or spatula on some of this lovely fudge, and we are going to spread it down the sides, all over the top, down the sides, but get it all on, and then I'm going to show you how to finish it to make it a lovely, lovely celebration cake. So let's just scrape all that off. Now then, just push it down to the sides. Okay, and we're just going to push all the way down. Really simple for the children to do. And there is lots of this to just spread over. As I said, there's no right way or wrong way. We just want to cover the cake up. Now, let's get that down there. And this is going to be delicious. Spread this out a bit so we know that we're going to get some in every little nook and cranny of this cake. Push it down here. And you can feel it sort of setting up already. Now this isn't going to set completely hard. It's still going to be slightly soft, which is how we want it. We don't want it to be too hard. Let's get it all down here. Can you see we're just covering it up, pushing it in to all of those little cracks amongst the layers. Now we're nearly, oops, at the start, aren't we? So once we've got to where we've started, we're just going to smooth it out slightly, just to even it out really, not smooth it out. And then, this is where the fun begins. You just swirl, just make lots of swirls on here, on the top, can you see? And swirl down the side as well. And that is all you have to do. And if the children find it tricky swirling, just get them to pat it like that and it'll just be slightly spiky. But we're going to swirl it. As I said, again, something that the children can do. Oh, lots and lots of fudginess here. And there's just enough frosting as well. You don't want to sort of put too much, as I said, in the middle, because we've got quite a lot on the top and down the sides. So I've actually made a little bit of a mess on some of the plate here. So all you're going to do is get a kitchen roll and wipe that off. Now before I put anything else on it, I'm going to wash my hands because look, they're all chocolatey. So I'll be back in 2 ticks. We've got our cake there. Now I've got some strawberries here, and to make it just a little bit special, just pop some strawberries into the middle of the cake. You could put other fruit on, sprinkle some raspberries or some blueberries. I've got a little bit of rosemary here as well, and I'm just going to snip a couple of pieces just to pop down the middle. There we go. Can you move that rosemary out the way so you can see what I'm doing? Just some little bits that I'm just putting in between the strawberries, so it just adds that little bit of greenery. And there you have got a gorgeous, easy peasy celebration cake. fantastic for any occasion. So Mother's Day is coming up next week. This is absolutely fantastic for that. Really, really simple. Or just for a child's birthday, you could sprinkle sweets on it. You could pop chocolate buttons. You could pop anything you wanted on there. And as I said, you could put lots of fruit on as well. We like to have it with some blueberries and raspberries on and a little sprinkle of icing sugar. But take a look at that. How simple is that? Are you going to have a go at this celebration cake? I hope so. So until next time, I know what I'm going to have with a cup of tea now. I'll see you soon. Bye.